hand him the bill, and he holds it up. He looks at me. He's like, "This is a fake 100." And my heart just sinks. I'm like, I'm about to get murdered. And then all of a sudden he goes, "Nah, I'm just playing, man." He goes, "Gee, give him the stuff."
Oh, shit.
To this day, I thought my life was over.
Millie makes songs, hey, I made this one. Jerry builds bikes and they go real fast. They're mental defectives.
Welcome to the Mental Defectives podcast, a show where we interview interesting individuals with a focus on addiction and mental health. I'm your host, Milligram. That's Millie if you know me, Mr. Graham if you know me. Joined, as always, by the Hall of Notes of Harleys. He's the gearhead with the heart of gold. It's Mr. Jerry with a G.
Glad to be here.
And today...
Hold up. You should hit that like and subscribe button if you dig what we do.
Mental Defectives podcast, wherever you get your social media, because that's where we is. Mental Defectives podcast on everything, because today...
Now brought to you by the House of Hope.
Yes.
That's right. Because today we have a very special guest. He's a sober House of Hope alumni turned employee. He's got a degree in masturbation. Sorry, he's got a master's degree. He's partial to the occasional 5K or triathlon. He loves to F. That's family, friends, fellowship. And he's here with us today with some exciting news. Please welcome Kyle. Kyle, how's it going?
What's up? It's quite the intro. I wasn't expecting that. I was like, are they going to stop and edit this out? I don't know what's happening.
I got a little spicy with this one.
Yeah, you did.
I love it.
Kyle, where are you from?
I am from Canal, Winchester. It's a little small town outside of Columbus. You guys are probably familiar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, born and raised. I was born in Grant Hospital. Not sure that's relevant, but grew up in Canal, Winchester. And, spent my whole childhood, early life there until I went to college. Then I moved out of state for a little while. But, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And when was the first drink?
We're getting right into it, aren't we, boys?
Oh, yeah. You're in the weeds now.
Here we go.
You're in it.
I think I was 16. First actual drink, I remember my grandfather had beer that he would like put in his garden in those little cups for the gosh, what were they called?
Garden gnomes?
There was some little like weird, huge looking worms that would get into like his plants and eat them and kill them. Slugs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
You guys have no idea what I'm talking about.
They attract slugs?
Yeah, the slugs will like, I guess, drink the beer and not the plants or something. I don't know. Somebody watching's gonna be like, he's got that way wrong. But anyways, he had like a whole case of Budweiser. I remember my sister kind of like, "Ooh, what's this?" That we were probably like 12 or 13. But the first real like I guess drunk. I think I was 16. I was a sophomore in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd that look like?
It was a house party. It was right after a big basketball game. The older dudes on the basketball team were always like, "We want to see what you're like drunk," because they just thought I was like this goofy kid, which I was. And I was like, "Okay, cool." Just wanted to fit in, be cool.
Yeah.
And we went to this party on campus, and I just remember that night I had 8 Coronas, and like my buddies had like maybe 2 or 3 beers,
Yeah.
And I just remember waking up the next day and they're like, "Man, you put down 8 Coronas." I was like, "Well, I don't know, I feel fine, So, right away I knew. Looking back, like, I had that ism before it really even started, I think. So
No puking or blacking out on that first.
Nothing, dude. In fact, I was there with this girl that I was trying to date. And I was on like beer 6 or 7, and I stumble out to the kitchen, and she's in there with like one of my best friends, like making out. I was like, "Man, this is a terrible first drunk."
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. So I mean, it was whatever. We were stupid and young, but yeah, that was the first time.
And then where do we pick up from there?
So, after that, things progressed pretty quickly for me, man. So sports have always kind of been my thing, right? Like
What are you, like 6'5"?
6'4".
6'4", okay.
Yeah, 6'3", with shoes on 6'4".
What's his Tinder profile say?
Yeah, 6'7".
Yeah.
No, but
Chris only has Grindr.
I just remember from like a young age, man, I was just like really good at sports. Like it was just this, this gift I had that I could jump really high, and I was pretty athletic. So sports at an early age in my life was a huge part of my life, and basketball was my thing. And I say all this because it kind of leads into the story of my drinking. But I remember in like 7th or 8th grade, I dunked a basketball for the first time, and I just thought I was like Superman. I'm like, I can do something with this, right?
Yeah.
And I grew up in small private schools, and so when you're able to do stuff like that, you stand out. Like people treat you differently, and I got a lot of attention from that, and that was like my identity. That's who I was, like Kyle, the basketball guy, right? Yeah. And I loved it. I lavished in it. And so by the time I got to high school, I went to Canal Winchester High School. I started getting better, started practicing more. By the time I was a sophomore, I was like starting on the varsity team. We were like really good. We were like number 3 in the state. I thought I was big stuff. I'm this young kid playing on the varsity team starting. And so my vision was like, I'm going to go play college basketball and I'm going to get a scholarship. And my dream was to go play professional, maybe overseas or whatever.
What was your dream school at that time? Duke, Villanova,
yeah,
NC State?
I mean, I always thought Duke or like Ohio State, but I don't think I was quite that good. But I always thought like Ohio University to me always seemed. I loved when I was a kid. We'd go to their basketball camps. Have you guys ever been to OU?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like
for the Halloween party, not the basketball.
Let's be clear. But we would do basketball camps there in the summer, and we'd sleep in the arena. They had like dorms inside. I forget they call it the Dome.
Yeah.
I think so. And I just thought it was so cool. I'm like, I want to come here and play. So, I'm getting all this attention. I'm sophomore in high school, and the drinking starts to slowly progress a little bit to like maybe every other weekend. By that summer, I was drinking every weekend, and so I'm starting to get this attention from sports, right? And I'm like, people in my circle are telling me like, you can do something with this. You got to just stay focused and train and do all this stuff. And that summer, dude, I'll never forget it. I was at a house party with a couple of my friends, and I was drunk, and I was jumping on the trampoline, and I went to do a backflip, but I jumped too far out, and my shins landed on like the outer bar of the trampoline.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I just wasn't the same. I was still, competitive and good, but that took my edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my junior year, I remember, just to put it into context, like my sophomore year, I was, like having a couple dunks in basketball games, and that was like my dream. I'm like, grew up watching Jordan and all these. I want to dunk in a real game. And by the time I was a junior, when it should have been a regular thing, I remember the very first game we played at Hilliard Derby. I had a fast break and I missed a dunk. And I just remember thinking back, like, I can jump out of the gym. Like, why is this happening? But it's because that injury was catching up to me. And
Were you a point guard?
No, in high school I was a power forward.
Power forward, okay.
Yeah, so I played like the 3-4. You know your basketball. I like that. Very cool. So anyways, yeah, my junior year, I still had a good season in sports, but I wasn't progressing like I was because of that injury. And plus at this point I'm drinking sometimes once or twice during the week. Definitely on weekends. Then you fast forward into my senior year of high school. It was a lot more, man. I still had this delusion that I was going to go play college basketball, but it was just dwindling. It was dwindling. I was partying throughout the week. Like nights before games, nights after games. The reason I talk so much about basketball is because that was my life.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's who I was, man.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
I'm not trying to sound like Uncle Rico on. You know what I mean? Like I could have won state, boy. Like
Back in '91, we could have won it all.
Every time I talk about it, I'm like, you sound like him, man. But it's just who I was, you know. So senior year of high school comes, and then I suffer an injury. So we were playing in a summer tournament down at Bloom Carroll, and I just remember jumping up for a rebound and landed right on my like tailbone, right? And like that was in the summertime. It was right before my last year of high school, and a couple months later, I noticed it was like real sensitive, like my lower back, like just above my butt. There was like this little sensitive area, and I couldn't figure out what it was, and it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I went to the doctor finally, and they're like, you have what's called a pilonidal infection. So it's basically like it's not too much deep into the skin, not very deep into the skin, but it's just an infection that forms from like an injury, and it can spread. Like people have like had limbs cut off because of it if you don't
I've
catch
had
it.
that.
Have you? Where? Like what part of your body?
Same
was it?
spot.
Really?
And
Dude, I've never met someone that had
bro,
this.
I might have been, oh my God, like 8 years sober or something. And I don't know about yours, but they basically just like take an ice cream scooper and just.
That's exactly what they did, dude.
And
Yeah.
dude, they gave me, and this was after the
That's crazy,
opioid
dude.
epidemic. I'm like 8 years sober, 9 or 10 even. I don't know how long ago this was. And
That's wild.
they gave me like 90 Percocet.
Yeah.
And and I didn't realize that. So I'm staying at my parents. I give my mom the bottle as we do. You know, I'm telling my sponsor, all these people. And like one day I was laying there and I was just like in a lot of pain. And my mom was like, you know, you can take 2 of these at a time, right? And I was like, and that was my thing of like, oh, I'm real fucked up.
Dude.
You can't see it on your lower back. So like, I don't understand. I can't see it, whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm real fucked up. If my mom, who has lived through my shit show of opioid addiction, is being like, you can take 2 Percocets at a time.
Please.
That fucking
Dude,
sucks.
yeah, man. So I had to have 4 of those surgeries in 3 years.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself, but that
you're
was,
good.
you know, the first one was kind of just a minor incision, right?
Right.
I just went in there and cut it and drained it. I know it's gross, but so then like I go that whole year, you know, I was playing basketball, football, and track. My basketball was dwindled. I wasn't I wasn't where I was or where I could have been. So, you know, I was still good, but not like a crazy standout like I thought I was going to be. And football I had a lot of fun with too, but that was kind of the same thing. But then track, I was a high jumper.
Okay.
Right. And I didn't do track growing up as a kid or anything like that. But my basketball coach was like, you should run track to just stay in shape. So they had me do high jump and long jump. And dude, one day, it was at like a tri meet. There was like 3 teams there, and I was jumping like. Do you guys know much about like high jump or track? Okay, so
You run and then you jump?
That's it. That's it.
They measure it?
Oh yeah, they measure it.
Well, no, that's long jump. So long jump
okay.
where you like
God
sprint
damn it,
and they
Jerry.
jump
Fuck.
and they're like, you know, their legs are like moving in the air and they land in the sand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
high jump, the technique is called the Fosbury flop. So it's where they like run and jump like backwards over the pole.
Yeah.
So that's high jump. So I did that, and I was athletic and could jump high enough to where I was winning most meets. Like I was jumping like 6'1", 6'2",
Oh, yeah.
right? Where you
Sure.
like lunge your body.
Yeah.
And then this one day, dude, at this point I knew I was still getting some attention for basketball, but it was like smaller schools like Marietta, Ohio Wesleyan. And I'm like, I don't even know if I want to do that, you know? And this one day at this track meet, I came out and I jumped 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", and I don't know what got into me. I remember right before that I was like down by the river eating a Snickers and drinking a Mountain Dew with like a dip in. So it wasn't like this crazy plan. I was like, you know, taking care of myself, but I ended up jumping 6'8" and tied the school record.
Nice.
The Mental Defectives podcast is brought to you by Milligram's new single, a grungy pop-punk emo anthem for the ages. Listen to Milligram's new single on all streaming platforms.
And the next day I start getting letters from these colleges like, hey, we want you to come be a high jumper for us. I'm like, listen, this was a one-time thing. Like, I have no, you know, my form was terrible. I could just jump. Right?
Yeah.
I was athletic enough. I could just jump. And so, so I ended up getting a scholarship to go to Indiana Wesleyan. It's a small private school in Marion, Indiana. So it was a really cool school. I made some of my closest friends. But after that year, I realized I hated track because I'm like, I'm here to be a high jumper. And they're like, well, you're also going to be a javelin thrower. You guys know what the javelin is?
Oh, yeah.
And,
Shot put.
Yeah, similar. It's like a spear, you know?
Yeah.
And, shot put. We had all those guys. And then I sucked at that. And it was like a ton of running. I mean, it's a college track team, but I'm like, I'm a high jumper, dude. I'm not trying to run 5Ks for practice, you know? So now at this point, my drinking is out of control. And I had also had my second procedure done on my back at this time. So I got introduced to that little bottle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I grew up in the burbs in Canal, Winchester. Like, I have 2 wonderful parents. We never were exposed to drugs, ever.
Yeah.
So to me, it was just like that immediate feeling of euphoria, you know, and it started with just a couple of 5s and then started to progress. But it still wasn't to the point, you know, my freshman year of college where it was like a serious problem. But I was using the pills kind of recreationally, but I was drinking a lot. And then after my freshman year of college, I transferred out of Indiana Wesleyan and went to Mount Vernon Nazarene. You guys heard of that?
I've heard of it,
Smaller,
yeah.
Another because I wanted to play basketball. I wanted to pursue my dream. I'm like, it's not Ohio State or OU, but it's still college basketball. So
Yep.
I transferred out. But that summer, I had to have the big surgery. Dude, you described it perfectly, like an ice cream scoop. So they took like a chunk out of my back, and it was deep. You know. I don't know how big yours was, but I got a nasty scar.
It wasn't that intense, but like, and again, I can't see it. My mom would just describe it like American Horror Story. It was like her rationale. Oh, I mean, I'm telling you, all I needed was that she was like, you can take 2 of these at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not like, maybe let's switch you to Advil after a couple days.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
like
dude.
several days afterwards. She's like, you can have 10 milligrams of
Nasty.
Percocet at a time. Like, it was,
Yeah.
You're like, well, mom says it. It must be okay.
dude, I was working in an office at the time, like a desk job. I took 2 weeks off work.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
Can't
I just
sit
could
down.
not do anything.
Yeah, so they would come, and my dad took a picture of it. I don't know why, and then he showed me, and it was huge, man.
Yeah.
It was a nasty, and so I had to have a nurse come every day for like the first month, and she would pack it
Yeah.
with
Gauze and all
yeah,
that.
and clean it and all this stuff. And I remember I had this belt that just had bite marks all up and down it, because when she was doing it was so painful.
Yeah.
So then that's when the opiates really kicked up, you know. Yeah. But it got to a point though, after like a couple months, it was irritable, but I didn't need the opiates, you know, but I was becoming physically dependent on them. So then I'm going to Mount Vernon Nazarene University, a small Christian school, right? And I'm there to play basketball, but at this point I'm low key hooked on pain pills, and I'm drinking a lot. And now at this school, you know, I grew up Christian. I'm Christian now, but it's very private, and it's very like you got to be at chapel 3 times a week. You gotta, you know, if you have a female over, lights got to be on, all feet on the floor, doors open 6 inches. Yeah, dude, it wasn't. I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. I want to party. You know?
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm finally out of the house. I'm ready to party, and
Yeah.
like, I remember kids. I don't want to badmouth that school, but it was. I would be down at OSU every weekend. You know what I mean? But I remember I had these roommates. It was these 4 guys that all grew up together, right? Like your freshman year of college, you kind of form your, you know, circle of friends. And I made mine at Indiana Wesleyan, but then I left. So they threw me in this dorm with these 4 dudes that grew up together. They were a good group of guys. And, you know, I'm popping these pills. I just had this surgery and I ran out. And this one kid that was my roommate, he was like, hey, I just had my tonsils taken out, and they gave me these white pills. He's like, I don't know what they are. I'm like, well, let me see them. I can probably help you out, you know. And he like shows me, like pulls them down. Just, you know, these guys were like the salt of the earth, just so
Right.
innocent. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know, coming into my addiction. Like, let me check it out, bro. And he showed me. He had them like in his little bathroom bag, and he pulled them out, and they were like, I don't know, bike 10s or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, those are. He's like, I'm afraid to take them. I'm like, you should be, bro. And
In fact, I'll hold on to
yeah,
it.
right, yeah. So I'm watching him put it back up in the cabinet, and then the very next day, they were at chapel in the morning, and I stayed there and went up and started taking a few.
Oh, yeah.
And that, you know, fast forward 2 or 3 weeks later, they're all gone. So I replaced them with Tylenol because they looked kind of like, because the not to get into war story or whatever, but they were like long oblong.
Right.
You know,
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
You know
hell,
what I
by
mean?
then his fucking tonsils are healed. He ain't gonna need them.
Put
2
these to
weeks
use,
later,
dude.
yeah.
So, and then he didn't say anything to me until like, man, you fast forward like 6 months, and it was a small school. I mean, it was like a big high school, basically. There was like 1,200 of us on campus. It was very gossipy. Everybody knew everybody's business, and I hated that. And these guys were really popular. So he came to me one day and was like, did you take my pills? And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, we all noticed that you act kind of funny, and I know I showed you where they were, and I think you stole my pills. And I just denied it, you know, all the way to the And I know that they were like talking to their friends and other people, and I kind of became like this, you know, which
The
I was.
pariah.
I was a shady dude that they knew was taking their pills. And so anyway, so you fast forward this summer after my freshman year of college, I get my first OMVI. It was 2006. It was right in front of my parents' house. Yep. And so I think I had to do like the weekend dip class.
Yep.
I don't think I got probation or anything like that. But by this point, my partying's, you know, it's out of control. I'm going to OSU every weekend. I'm going to Miami University in Middletown, where all my friends went. And I'm starting to like, I think it was after my second or third year of college, I ran out of my prescriptions. I used to go to my doctor. I remember one time I told him.
Damn, they had you on those for
Dude.
I mean, this
'Cause
is
I had
also
4.
pre-pan opioid
Absolutely,
epidemic thing.
dude.
We're like,
It
you
was-
knock yourself out.
Absolutely. But I used to tell them like these wild stories. I go
Oh,
to my
yeah.
doctor. You know how it is. Like I went to my doctor one time. I was like, you won't believe this, but I was fishing last weekend and I dropped my pills in the water. And he was like, are you kidding me, bud? Well, no problem. And just wrote me a new script. That easy. And then finally, you know, and I don't look back and blame the doctors. I really don't. Like,
Yeah.
Has it been a problem and things? Yes, but,
Right.
you know, I'm the one that abused them. And could they have been a little tighter? Sure, which I know they definitely are now, but I'm still alive to tell it. So it's,
Right.
you know. But anyway, so I somehow stumble and drink my way through college. I almost got kicked out a couple times. I had to sit in front of the board at this small private Christian school. I had to sit in front of the board of directors twice, and they're like, why should we let you stay here? Like, your cumulative GPA is a 1.3 on 2 different occasions, and luckily my basketball coach was cool, and he's like, just let him stay. So I get out of college, and then I am not ready to jump into the real world yet. So my buddy's parents had a lake house in Michigan, so I moved up there for the summer. By this time, I'm drinking almost every night, smoking weed all day, every day, which I did in college too. And I'm addicted to these pills, heavily addicted to pain pills. And I lived up there for the summer with him on the lake. I'd wake up every morning, smoke a joint, hop on the jet ski, and just cruise the lake every single day for the whole summer. Just loved it, you know.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that was over, I'm like, okay, I got to get back to the real world. I got to get a job. So come down to Columbus. My first real job out of college was with Lifetime Fitness. You guys heard of Lifetime Fitness? Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I got a job selling memberships. But at
one of those
yeah,
guys.
dude, yeah.
One of those
Yeah,
guys.
so, but they made it look so cool, man. Like they're all dressed like, you know, businessmen. And they got these cool offices in the front. I'm like, this is awesome. And then like my first day, they're like, you got to make like 200 outreach calls a day. Like it was such high pressure sales. You guys know this, but it felt cool. I was in an environment I was comfortable in, you know, and I like still had this weird feeling that I was still going to somehow pursue my basketball dream. It was just, you know, delusional because that's who I was. And that was my identity. I didn't know myself outside of just what I was viewed as through sports. Right.
Yeah.
And how are you managing like the pills at this time? Are you getting off the street as well? Or,
Yeah.
like...
So at this time I was stealing like from family members. Some of the grandparents in my family had medications, and so I'm taking from them. A friend of mine had scripts that he was getting refilled. I was buying them off of him. Mm-hmm. I was going doctor shopping.
Yeah.
I never did the Florida runs, but I go to the ER. I remember when I was at Lifetime Fitness, actually, there was an ER right down the road. It was actually on Hard Road, not far from here. That one. That's where the first Lifetime I worked at, and I'd go down there and they'd write me because I had this injury I could rely on. I'm
Right.
Like, it's irritating.
Right.
At this point, I had it removed 3 times, and I'd be like, and they'd see the records and be like, yeah, like even though there was no pain, that was my.
Yeah.
I could rely on that. So anyways, my first year at Lifetime Fitness, I was selling gym memberships, and I sucked at it. I was so bad at it. Like, it was. I just wasn't that high pressure dude. I didn't like forcing people to.
Yeah.
People would come in to buy a gym membership, and they'd be like, "I'm sorry, I just don't have the money today." And I'm like, "That's fine. We'll be here next week." And then the manager would come down like, "Why didn't you push them more? You know, like." Why didn't you ask them if their health is important or if their partners? I'm like, oh my gosh, dude! Like,
always be close.
Yeah.
dude. Oh yeah, exactly. Michael Scott said it well. You know, but so I did that for a year, and then I got like my dream job at Lifetime Fitness. They're like, Kyle, you clearly suck at this, but we can tell like sports is your thing. So they made me the regional director of all their sports programs in Ohio and Indiana, and that was my niche, you know, like I was good at it. I knew all the guys that played in the leagues, and it got to a point where we were like the #1 rated league in the nation. Like I loved it, right? Like
Nice.
basketball was my thing. I could
Yeah.
relate to these guys. I made it fun and cool. And so right about this time, guys were coming in. They knew me by name, and we had probably 200 or 300 guys playing in the basketball league, right? So they come in like, "Oh, I want to sign up for the next basketball league." I'm like, "All right." You know, it's $160 or whatever. They would pay me cash. I would ring it up, but boop, pocket the money.
Yep.
That lasted for like I don't know, maybe 6 months, maybe. And one day the general manager of the gym sat me down. He's like, Kyle, I got to be honest with you. I was like, yeah, sweating bullets. You know?
Yeah.
He's like, literally, like everybody has come to me and said that they think you're stealing from us and that you're on drugs. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like me, like, you know, and just played this victim role. I'm like, prove it. And then I went home and I'm like, damn, like they're going to pull up cameras. But I was always really, you know, sneaky about it. But I quit the next day. And at this point is when things really started to turn. So I had like 12 jobs within the next 2 years. Started dating a girl that I was with for 3.5 years. I went to Morgan Stanley Wealth Management. I went to Verizon Wireless. I went to AT&T. All these places I go for like 6 months, and they'd find out that I was stealing or robbing, or, you know, taking money or whatever, and they'd boot me out. And then one day I come home, and all my stuff is on the front patio. My girlfriend and I lived at Easton. You know where like the Cheesecake Factory is?
Oh, yeah.
At Easton, like across from those condos, apartments.
Yeah.
We lived there. She was supporting us. She worked at Chase, and I was bouncing around. And literally, it was this huge pile of clothes and like stuff in front of our apartment. I'm like, that's mine.
Yeah.
So I walk in. My girlfriend is sitting there with her best friend, who was actually my best friend's wife. So that was weird. And both my parents were there.
Oh.
And there's a lot of details I left out. But leading up to this, you know, I went to Maryhaven. I got put on a different medication to stay off of this medication.
Yeah.
Started abusing that. I'm still drinking. And my girlfriend just had enough. And what kind of broke the straw that broke the camel's back was I wrote a love letter to another girl that I was more interested in. And it was like around Christmas time. I left it on the couch.
Oops.
Yeah. And and she like got home and read it. And by this time we were together for like 3 years, and she thought that it was to her until she got to the very end where it was like, I love you. And the other girl's name was there. So she was like, boop, that's it. So, and I just remember feeling like a child. My dad's like, give me the keys to the car, son, because I was still driving his car. And they were like, you're out, you're done. We're not supporting you anymore. You've got this habit. You've been stealing and lying from us and all this stuff. So that kind of began my, I was homeless from that point on for like almost 4 years. So I lived in pretty much every shelter in Columbus at one point. The first one was Van Buren. You guys know Van Buren?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the first homeless shelter I stayed in, and it was, it was a crazy experience. You know, I'd sleep during all night. They'd kick us out at 8 in the morning, and then, you know, you could come back at like 4:30 or something. But I would get up. I had this crazy cycle. By this time, I'm fully addicted to alcohol and opiates. Right, started to buy them on the street. I'd wake up. I'd go to Mount Carmel Hospital. I'd go to the prayer chapel, and I would sleep in the prayer chapel. And one day this security guy comes in and goes, hey, and I would always like position myself to where I could wake up real quick and look
like you're praying. Yeah.
And he's like, that ain't praying. I was like, what? You know, and he's like, get out of here, and like snapped a picture. He's like, if you ever come back here, like you're done. So then I would leave there after sleeping, and then I'd go donate plasma, and then I'd go buy what I needed. Wake up, repeat. That lasted for, you know, several years, and then it just kind of progressed. And then I started,
That's enough money for...
Well, not really. So...
and can you only donate, like,
I think it was twice a week, and it was
what?
like 35 or maybe $40. So that would, like, keep me in with, like, the dealer that I was getting stuff from. But then I had to feed my alcoholism, too. So that was a whole separate hustle I had. I would start by going to the Salvation Army. I'd buy some like presentable looking clothes, right? And then I would go to Kroger and I'd steal a vanilla gift card. And then I would go to the bars almost every single night. I would go to a different bar on High Street, all the way up to Worthington, and as far south as like 104.
Sure.
And I would go in and I would open a tab with this credit card that had nothing on it.
Right.
But I knew that they were going to like swipe it and it would store the information, but they weren't going to charge me until I left. So I did that, guys, for like, I mean, you name a bar on High Street, and I've done that too. I had a lot of men's to make there.
So then at the end of the night,
Yeah, so
instead of closing out the tab,
You just dip.
I gotta
would
run
just
out.
dip.
Yeah, I'm gonna
it
go
was
smoke a cigarette.
So the whole night, I would like strategically, I'd leave my hat on the bar, and I'd go out and smoke cigarettes throughout the night. So I was like, when it's ready for me to go, they're just gonna think I'm smoking. They're not
Yeah.
gonna think twice about it.
Yeah.
And it worked until one night it didn't.
The Mental Defectives podcast is proudly brought to you by the House of Hope. Since 1959, the House of Hope has provided substance use disorder treatment focused on long-term recovery.
Services include short and long-term residential treatment for men, certified recovery housing, and outpatient programs for men and women. Using individual and group counseling, CBT, DBT, adventure therapy, financial literacy, and employment services, House of Hope helps individuals rebuild their lives.
Visit hofhope.org or call today to schedule a consultation.
Now let's get back to the episode.
I was down on the east side on Barnett. There was like this hole in the wall bar that I did not belong.
Yeah.
I did not belong there, but I just happened to stumble on. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, bar, I got a fake credit card.
Yeah.
I go in there, and this bartender was no nonsense. I was buying people drinks on this fake credit card, having a good time.
Yeah.
And I remember this dude comes up to me. He's like, I'm cutting you off. You are out of control. You are done. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then he comes back like, your card's declined. And I'm like close to blackout drunk. And I was like, well, you got an ATM? Let me run to the ATM. He's like, okay, yeah. I was like, where is it? He like grabs me by the collar, basically, takes me to his car, drives me to the gas station not far from there. He's like, go get my money. It was like, it was a big
shit.
tab too. I don't remember. I think it was,
Yeah.
back then that was 15 years ago. It might've been $200 or something. And I go in, I'm like, I'm sorry, dude, it's not working. He was like, all right. So we go back to the bar. He sits me in the back. This huge bouncer is like looking over me like, don't move. And this dude's like, give me your phone, your ID, and anything you have on you. And he looks at my ID. He's like, I know where you live now. Don't make me do what I don't want to do. And I'm like, okay, man. Like, I swear I'll come back and pay you. I'm living in the homeless shelter at this time,
Right,
so I have no
right.
way to pay this dude back.
Yeah.
But the address was to my parents' house.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, yeah, is this going to end how I'm,
Yeah.
I was scared to death if my parents were going to get tied up in this. So that was one time that I got caught.
How'd you resolve it?
I didn't. I just disappeared. Went and got a new ID. A couple weeks later, donated some plasma. And eventually I went back when I got sober and made amends
Nice.
to them. Yeah. But
That's crazy over a bar tab.
Dude,
Like,
yeah,
that's
he wasn't
like
playing.
not
Like I
fucking
said,
around.
it was over off Livingston and Barnett. So it was...
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
But still,
still.
it happened at the Iron Grill, I think it's called up here in Worthington. Iron Skillet. Anyways, I did that there one night, and it was just me in there drinking. And went to sneak out, and the bartender was like, "Hey, where you going?" I was like, "I'm just getting a cigarette out of my car." She's like, "You told me you rode the bus here." I was like, "Ooh,
Got me.
And before I could like dip, like the owner
Yeah.
comes out, another big dude. He's like, "Sit down, like I don't make any money, and people like you are coming in here and stealing." So the same thing. I had to give him my ID. He made me give him my cell phone,
Oh.
and he's like, "When you have the money, you can come back and get this stuff." So disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never came back. Just went and got another ID. So that was my cycle for a long time, and I would get back to the homeless shelter every night. They thought that I was working a second shift job because I forged paperwork. So I would get back after the bar closed, and they'd be like, "Oh, Hardin, like he's just got back from
He's
work.
at work,
So come
yeah.
on in, fall asleep." And that was. Have you guys ever been in the homeless shelter before? It's basically jail, but you can leave. Like it's like 70 dudes, like
Yeah.
just like scratching themselves, farting
Right.
and snoring all night, and
Yeah.
just waking up like, "Where's the drugs?"
Yeah.
I saw some crazy stuff in there, and that lasted like 3 or 4 years.
Do you see any like violence in there, or like just like
There was fights, yeah, but I never saw anybody.
what's something like super crazy that?
So one thing that was crazy, bed bugs were awful. I
Oh,
remember waking up.
yeah.
I remember waking up one morning and this old dude every night before bed, he would like look over at me. He was like, "Are you tuckered, Kyle?" I'm like, "Tuckered? Like what are you talking about? Like it's weird,
Yeah.
dude." He was the sweetest old guy
Yeah.
though. But I remember waking up one morning and his entire shoulder and arm were just covered in bed bug bites. It was disgusting. But I think the craziest thing I probably saw in there was this dude named Shaggy. It looked just like Shaggy from and big time drug dude. He was heavily addicted to heroin and all kinds of stuff. And his dad died while he was in the homeless shelter. And in there, it's like everybody knows everybody's business, right?
Yeah, sure.
And I remember he got an $8,000 settlement. Like his aunt came down and dropped him off a check at the homeless shelter.
Oh,
and he was the dude
shit.
that had the drugs. So I remember one night he was in the bathroom injecting, doing his thing, and his wad, he carried his money on him. The wad fell out of his pocket, dude. And this is like probably 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I just remember this dude named Terry was in the bunk above me, goes sprinting into the bathroom. Or no, Terry was already in the bathroom in the stall next to him doing the same thing. The wad of like $5,000 drops out of Shaggy's pocket, and this other dude just like grabs it real quick because Shaggy's like nodding out.
Yeah.
And I remember Terry running back to the bed and like jumping up there. I was like, "What's going on?" And then all of a sudden you just hear this scream, and Shaggy's like, "Where is my money?" You know. And Terry, like a classic drug addict, dude, he jumps out of the bed, goes in there, starts helping him find
Helping him look for it. Yeah.
And like, so me being who I was, I'm like, well, Terry, he probably has it. Let me check his bed. So I'm like lifting up his mattress. I'm like, this is my ticket out of here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it.
I want to hit Terry and be like, bro, I know what's up. I need, you need to break me off half of that.
But it was, man, it was just a disgusting. You know, I think about what 12-step literature says and stuff, how the abnormal becomes normal. I didn't grow up like that. I grew up in the suburbs, Canal Winchester, with 2 great parents. They both worked hard to provide, and here I am living in a homeless shelter, chasing drugs every day, stealing every day, and I was just like, you know, okay, this is just what it is right now. And then I started to get arrested, and I had this other little side hustle to where I would, when I was running out of money from donating the plasma, I would go to. So my little hustle was I'd leave the shelter in the morning, I'd go to Kroger's, and I would walk up to the self-checkout, and I would ask the person working self-checkout, I'm like, hey, my grandma was just here. I think she threw a $100 bill away by accident. Can I check in the trash? And anybody's going to be like, of course, your grandma, you know. God bless my grandma. I don't know why I always used her, but it just worked, you know. And so I dig through there, and I would grab receipts where people bought like expensive items and paid cash, right? So I'd see like, oh, this person spent $50 on dog food. Take that one. This one spent $70 on laundry detergent.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, I'm sorry, I didn't find it. Thanks for letting me look. Hop on the bus, go to the next Kroger. It was the one up at Graceland. And I would like take my cart in. I'd load up the dog food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd sneak up to self-checkout. And again, I had these presentable looking clothes I got at the Salvation Army to make it look like I was, you know, working class dude or something. And I'd say, hey, my grandmother brought these, but she doesn't need them. I just want to return them. And they'd be like, sorry, can't do it without a receipt. I'm like, bam. And they would give me cash back. I did that so many times at Kroger's, Giant Eagle, anywhere I could, really. And that was cool, again, until I got caught, you know. I tried it at the Kroger's out in Whitehall, and they were just not playing. They stopped me at the front, and I was so dope sick. And just I returned something that was like $14. And they gave me the cash, and I walk out, and the little loss prevention guys jump out. They're like, hey, hold on. I was like, man, like, I've been doing this for so long, and they take me up there. They're like, we watched you walk around Kroger drinking 2 Monsters in the last hour. And we're trying to figure out what's going on, and then you take something off the shelf and try to return it. So they're like, don't ever come back here again. But then the charges started getting more serious. I got another DUI. Started getting possession charges, stuff like that. And the last time I went to jail. Am I talking too much here?
Not at all.
No, this
You're
is great.
good. This is
I
perfect.
I love getting like the breakdown on people's different hustles out there.
Yeah,
'cause it's like,
that's what worked, man.
yeah,
you know?
but they're always like I'd never heard like the credit card, the bar thing is super smart. Like, but you're.
Did what we
I
had
feel
to
like
do.
all of yours, you're taking them like one. You're throwing that little extra
Yeah.
like pizzazz on it to really sell it.
Well, then I was buying from this dude that lived out in Reynoldsburg, and this is my last kind of war story, I guess, and I can. But this dude, I was buying stuff from him. One day, he like pulls out a huge wad of cash. I'm like, it was like $10,000. I was like, dude. He's like, you want some? I'm like, yeah. And it was fake money.
Oh,
So he's
yeah.
like, you want a couple grand?
Nice.
And dude, this looked so real.
Yeah.
Like, it looked really real, except for on the back it said Paramount Pictures, which was the most random thing. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, and the texture was a little thick, but I'm like, this could pass.
Yeah.
So I'm living in the shelter at the time. There was this dude I was also selling and buying drugs from. His name was Goose. big dude, prison dude, tatted from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Just a bully, you know. His prices were through the roof, but I didn't care. He was the dude to go to. And I was buying from him for a while, and I called him and I was like, Goose, I came across some money. I want this amount. And I made the deal like so sweet that he could not refuse coming out to Reynoldsburg to meet me. He's like, all right, I'm on the bus. Here I come, you know. And I still don't know why they called him Goose. He was whatever. But he shows up. He gets off the bus right in front of that Value City on it used to be Value City, like right over 270, the furniture place. You know what I'm talking about? It was on Broad, I think. So anyways, I'm standing there off the bus, like praying to God that he doesn't realize this money's fake. Because I asked him for like $500. It was like really like $300 worth of drugs, but I told him I'd pay him $500 if he came to me.
Sure.
And so this dude gets off the bus and he's got his dude with him. And both of these guys, and I'm a big guy, but back then I was not as, you know, I was down in weight, of course. And they walk up to me and I'm like, here we go, you know. And he's like, you got the money? I was like, yep. And I hand him the bill and he holds it up. He looks at me, he's like, this is a fake 100. And my heart just sinks. I'm like, I'm about to get murdered. And then all of a sudden he goes, nah, I'm just playing, man. He goes, gee, give him the stuff.
Oh, shit.
To this day, I thought my life was over.
Yeah.
I'm like, this idiot, like, doesn't realize
that it's really fake.
So I just played it cool. I'm like, cool, man. Like, I came all the way down here, bro. Let's do this thing, man. And I was like, yeah. So his dude pulls out, gives me what I was there for. I hop on the bus, go down to the Reynoldsburg Library. My phone is blowing up.
Oh, I bet.
So he went to the BP right there and tried to probably buy something to drink and realized it was fake. And I'm down there hiding out in the library. And I'm like, woo, I got away, you know, like just sending him to voicemail. And so I'm standing out in front of the library. And I look down. And I see this dude start to walk towards the library from Hamilton or Broad Street. And it kind of looked like the dude that was with them, but I was like, no, there's no way. They were on the bus. They couldn't have got here that fast. And he starts getting closer and closer. And I'm like peeking around the building, you know, like, is this him?
Uh-huh.
And finally I like hide behind the library and I like peek over one more time. And this dude's in a dead sprint coming after me. And I hear he's like, Goose, I got him. Oh. And Goose comes sprinting out of the woods. So I got 2 CVS bags full of groceries that I don't even know where I got the money from. The fake money didn't work, but I had a couple bucks. I go sprinting across Hamilton Road into the woods. This dude is on my tail like within 10 feet. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm literally sprinting for my life. I'm like, these guys are going to murder me. Like, or at least like mess me up really bad, dude. Yeah, I deserved it.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, I'm about to get what's coming to me. So I'm running through these business parks, sprinting across Broad Street, and I dropped those bags, and I just remember just giving it everything I had until I just collapsed in like this field in this housing development. And I looked around and nobody was there. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it was crazy. And then what's even crazier is like a year later, he's like texting me like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to find you. I'm going to kill you. I'm like,
as they do.
Whatever. Yeah.
Good luck, bitch.
Right. On my Obama phone, taking photos and stuff, you know. And I was like,
and were you guys staying?
Yeah, but I would just find a different shelter to stay. That was my life, dude. If something would go bad at one, you could leave and you had to wait like 2 or 3 days and you could get into another one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I just did that. I just bounced around.
Yeah.
And then I saw him on the bus like 2 years later. I was in House of Hope. I was in treatment. And I look over. It was like one of those slow motion moments.
Like, oh, shit.
And he just kind of looks up at me. And then he just looks back down, doesn't say a word to me. I think he might have just gotten out of prison or something. Or maybe he didn't recognize me. But I thought, this is it. Like, I'm going to die on this COTA bus in Columbus. But I got lucky.
All that track back in high school.
Yeah, right.
Your coach said, your basketball coach said it'll keep you in shape. It fucking sure did.
Yeah, and I was so out of shape then. But literally, like, I thought that my life, you know what I mean?
You were
like,
gonna die.
Yeah, that was my thought. So I was so out of shape, but I didn't care, man. So anyways, stuff like that was happening all the time. And so the last time I got arrested, and this leads into my recovery, I was doing my little hustle at the bar, had my fake credit card, had my little outfit that looked presentable, and I meet this woman at, it's that Mexican restaurant on High Street. It's not Cantina, Condados. right?
Yeah.
I was at Condado's
Yeah.
downtown, like near Town Street and High Street.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I was staying across from Buren. They had a VOA shelter where they had emergency shelter housing for people that weren't in the service, and that's where I was staying at the time. So I go to this bar, and I'm sitting there, and there's this woman down the bar from me, and she's on a date, and I'm just drinking it up, having a good time for free on this fake credit card. And somehow we started talking about like a sports game or something. We ended up hitting it off. Her dude leaves, and I proceeded to tell her that I was an executive that worked for Nationwide Insurance. I lived on East Gay Street in these like $4,000 condos, and I told her that my apartment flooded and I got robbed in the same day. So I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do tonight. And she was like, and we were drinking and talking all night. And of course, my angle was for her to be like, have pity on me and be like, well, just come stay with me, or I'll get you a hotel or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure enough, by the end of the night, she's like, I feel so terrible. Like, why don't you just come stay with me? Boom, perfect. Lived with this girl for 2 weeks. What I later found out was, I'm like, ooh,
As a corporate executive.
yeah. So during the day, she thought that I was going to work at Nationwide, but I was out doing these hustles.
Selling
Right.
plasma, running from geese.
Yeah, running from geese. Yeah.
Exactly. And I would just be running around. She'd text me like, babe, you almost off work? I'm like, yes, I'm exhausted. What's for dinner? You know, standing in the Kroger parking lot, smoking like a cigarette butt I found in the, so we'd meet back at her house. And then, she would go to sleep at night, and she had a credit card that I saw in her purse. Started taking it out, going to Kroger, buying a gift card that I could trade for what I wanted. And then one day, like 2 weeks into this thing, she calls me and was like, hey, I got to ask you a question. I'm like, yeah, what's up? She's like, someone's been using my credit card, and you've been living with me, and I haven't been using it. Have you been using it at Kroger? I'm like, absolutely not. This is ridiculous. Let's find out who this is. And she's like, well, good. She was an attorney, by the way, like a state attorney.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so she was like, well, good, because my best friend's a cop. He's heading down to the Kroger's to look at the film to see who this is. And I'm like, good. I hope they find him. This guy belongs in jail, you know? So I hung up with her, and I just like had this, I was so defeated at this point. I was so tired. And I, like an idiot, texted her everything. I'm like, I've got a problem. I need help. I stole your credit card. And I just was, I didn't care. I was just like, whatever. So she's like, okay, we'll just come over tonight and we'll talk it out. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I get there, and we're in the living room talking. I'm like, all right, she's like, you can't stay here anymore. I'm like, I understand. Go back to the shelter, whatever. Right before I leave, there's a knock at the door. It's CPD. She had already called the police.
Yeah.
I went down and sat in Jackson Pike that entire summer in 2017 on a theft and receiving stolen property charge. They charged me with 2 F5s. My bond got lowered to $1,200. $120 would have got me out, but nobody wanted to pay it. My family was like, I remember my mom visiting me in jail and just looking at me crying and just like, who are you? Like, and I remember her saying, I am not bailing you out because I am glad I know where you're at.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have experienced
Oh,
that.
yeah.
With your family.
Yeah.
It's like, and that just like shattered me.
And it's like, Mom, you got 120 in your pocket right now.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
nothing.
Like,
That's
the dudes I were in the
nothing
tank
for
with were like, bro, I got that on commissary. Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
So I sat there all summer. And this is when, at this point, I had been to detox 7 or 8 times and would just get out and relapse and start right back in. Didn't really think I had a problem. But I sat in that jail that whole summer and was like, this is it. I'm officially done. Never using drinking again. I get out, and within 12 hours, I'm getting high and drunk again. That's when I kind of had the realization, like, okay, this is a serious problem that you need help with. And my family was always loving, but from a distance. That my mom, I remember, and my dad were like, we love you. We'll always love you, but we are done. You can show up for Christmas, and we'll bring you a plate on the front porch. Same with birthdays, whatever. So I get out of jail, and I'm in drug court. And I show up after I got out of jail with my trash bag over my shoulder at drug court. And I remember the coordinator being like, you need to go get help somewhere. Because I was homeless. I had no money. You guys know the deal. Couldn't stop using. So that's when I went to House of Hope. Scared to death to go there. But I had nothing. I literally had nothing. I'm like, well, it sounds like they'll let me sleep there. I can eat food. And I know I need help. So whatever I'm doing is not working. So I went there, and the very first day I got there, my counselor sat me down, and he was like, what does addiction mean to you? You know who I'm talking
Yeah,
about,
I do.
Jerry. And I was like, I just need to get away from it for a while. And he proceeded to explain, 12-step literature and what's, steps meant and step 1 meant and how I'm have this disease and I'm powerless and I can't control when I start or when I stop. And everything just like made perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is me. Like, this is who I am. So stayed there. It was the behavior change that I desperately needed. And I was there for 4.5, 5 months. Didn't finish. Got kicked out. It's kind of I was one of my behaviors wasn't changing. I was still being sneaky, manipulative, drinking coffee when I shouldn't have been. Yeah, Jerry knows. I think that story. And I was.
I love the change because I went to a treatment kind of similar to that of like, one day you're like passing off fake money to like a murderous drug dealer, and that's breaking the rules. And then like the first 90 days of sobriety, it's like, you drank a cup of coffee at 9:15.
Right,
the cutoff
dude.
is 9. You're out.
Yes, dude.
Like,
Yeah,
it's
dude.
so hilarious.
And
to me.
I didn't understand it. I'm like, it's coffee. But then
Yeah.
my counselor and the guys in there were like, it's so much more than that. It's
Right.
the behavior behind that.
Yeah.
Like if you're not changing the way you think about this stuff, you're just going to go right back. Right. And that made sense to me, but I still got kicked out. So, but at this point, I had 5 months worth of 12-step recovery. I had a whole new social support system. Yeah, I stayed sober, thank God, ever since then. And my first job, they actually called me back 2 weeks after I got kicked out and were like, hey, at this point I had worked through the 12-step program and was just trying to be helpful and just show up and do what I could. And they called me back and said, hey, we'll let you move into one of our recovery houses and help you get a job. And I just remember I was watching a movie and I just broke down in tears. I'm like, this doesn't happen,
Yeah.
So they brought me in, put me in one of the sober houses. I worked at the Columbus Fair Auto Auction my first year of sobriety. It was perfect.
The Minnesota Defectives podcast is brought to you by Ride Sober, an online community for sober bikers.
At RideXSober on social media and RideXSober.com.
Check them out today for apparel like t-shirts, hoodies, hats, riding gloves, and garage banners.
Ride sober, boldly sober.
Boldly sober.
Starting job. At this point, I had my college degree, but my sole focus was on staying sober. I didn't care what I was doing. Got to work with guys that I was in treatment with, and it was just awesome. Left there, went and worked at Parkside. You guys know Parkside?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I went through there a couple
We're
times.
veterans.
Yeah.
We're
Yes,
veterans.
yes, we are.
Multi.
Yeah,
A
dude.
couple times.
Yeah.
So that was like my first kind of real, decent paying job out of treatment. And I thought I was rich. I think they started me at like 45 or 50,000. And in my mind, I'm like, I made it,
Yeah, oh,
Like,
yeah.
And did that for about 6 months. And then an opportunity arose at House of Hope, which I absolutely could not say no to. And it's a place where I got sober and got my life back. So, been there ever since, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's your role at the House of Hope right now?
Well, I change my title at least once a month, just like to sound more important, But no, I'm the director of outreach and marketing.
Nice.
So when I first started, it was mostly just they'd never had an outreach person. So I'm just out in the community, spreading the message of House of Hope, doing a lot of assessments, going to the jails nonstop. And then we've kind of built it up to where now there's other people that are helping me with that, doing developmental stuff, assessments, outreach. And I'm the director of that little department. So it's kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Well, when you first started, you were a CA.
I was a CA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because-
Oh, yeah.
So,
Run the story.
I'm
run
not
the
going to
story.
let this
Give me a
go.
Right. You were scrubbing
Jerry's been
toilets
hanging on
for
to
a
this
year.
for years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was actually before I went to Parkside. I was part-time CA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
I
what it
always
was.
forget that.
Okay.
I was part-time CA for like 3 months. So, and then I left to take the Parkside job. But it was such
Yeah.
a cool thing that House of Hope gave me that part-time job. 'Cause I was
Right.
struggling with money. They're like, well, here, we'll
Yeah,
bring you
here,
back.
do
over.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it held me over until I got the Parkside job. But yeah, that is
When I was a client in there, he was.
That's right. That's right.
He was
Jerry,
the man. Roped my ass up.
What did you do to get written?
Smoking in the wrong spot.
No, dude, he punched another client.
That
in the
is
face.
awesome.
Oh,
Bold-faced lie.
I'm just kidding. Well, you know how it is. Like when you're fresh out of treatment, you're on that treatment. Like,
Oh, yeah.
You guys are gonna have it how I had it.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
like a weird mix of like institutionalization.
It's so
and
And
then
like-
also
Yes, dude.
like high school sports almost. Like you fucking rookies, like you better learn, bitch. Like it's such a like a
spot on,
weird.
dude.
And,
Yeah.
like no one knows who they are, or what
Yeah,
they're doing.
dude.
It's
Yeah.
the blind leading the blind.
right.
God bless them.
That's exactly how it was, but
A lot of fun.
yeah.
And then, okay, so for our viewers at home, you probably noticed the episode looks a little different today. That's because Kyle is on to make a very exciting announcement that we, the Mental Defectives, are partnering with the House of Hope for the next little while here. And Kyle, talk to us about like how this came about and like.
Yeah. Well, we, our social media we've never really need to do any real marketing or social media stuff. Up until about a year ago, I kind of took over this past year of our social media. It's always just been kind of dead. So I don't have a ton of experience with social media stuff, but I'm slowly learning. And then I see you guys, the Mental Defectives podcast, and I started showing that to our clients in weekend groups that I would do. And
Which we have
which was-
still.
Well, when you said that was, to me, that was so freaking cool.
Yeah.
Because we started this, and now
Just for
you're
fun,
saying
right?
that
Yeah.
you're showing it for a freaking House of Hope group.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
And the what really rang home to me was, one, I'm like, our Jerry's on there.
Yeah.
And then I've seen you out and about, and I'm like, okay, like these guys are cool and funny, and our clients absolutely loved it. Like they're
Right.
cracking up.
Good.
Mostly like at the intro when you're singing, like the little things that you were saying, like
Oh,
about
yeah.
Jerry with
Oh,
a G. They just thought
yeah.
you guys were hysterical, and they loved it. Like Millie, whatever you say.
Millie, if you know me, Mr.
There it
Greenfield.
is, yeah. And I'm like, man, this is so important for, especially guys early in recovery to hear these stories.
Yeah.
On a platform that's like cool, and so I saw that, and the wheels just started turning, and I've talked to Jerry, and we're like, what better way to get our name out there than to sponsor you guys? So
Yeah.
we're excited about it, man.
Yeah, we're super pumped on it too, and it's such like an organic fit with our show
Yeah.
because like
It
we
is.
got alumni as a
Right.
co-host, and then we've a third of our episodes.
Oh gosh, so many of our
have been
episodes.
House of Hope alumni.
Just how, yeah.
Like,
Super cool.
Yeah.
it's such like the House of Hope is such like a good product.
Yeah.
I just feel like you meet like a sober guy in Central Ohio, there is like a 40 to 65% chance
came
they
through
went
House of
through
Hope.
the house
Yeah.
at
Or have some
point.
connection
Yeah.
to the
Some
House of
connection
Hope.
to
Yeah.
it.
100%.
Right.
Yeah, so it's exciting,
Yeah.
man. We're trying to keep Columbus has a lot of treatment. It used to just be, House of Hope's been around for 66 years this year.
Since 59.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
used to just be, you guys have done your research. Well, I know you know.
Man, I know the history.
But yeah, it used to just be us, the Salvation Army, and Maryhaven. Maybe
Right.
a few others, and now there's 70 or 80 different treatment centers, which people are getting help. But we want to keep the lights on too, and we believe strongly in what we do. So doing stuff like this is new to us, but we know it needs to be done. And Jerry is what did our boss say? The whiz kid of social media. Yes,
Yeah.
I brought it to her attention.
Right.
Like, Jerry, I think we only have. She's like, oh, he's a whiz kid. Like, yeah.
whiz
So,
kid.
I'm the whiz kid,
Start
bud.
Yeah.
Okay. Next episode will be. I'm changing this out.
yeah.
Oh my
No, but we're
god.
super excited about it, man. We've never done anything like this.
Right.
And we believe in
No,
what you guys are
we're
doing.
we're equally as excited.
Yeah.
You
We're
know,
pumped on it.
I definitely believe in the product. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah, we have
Living
a
proof.
yeah,
success story sitting
yeah,
over here.
yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool. And then do I now officially get an invite to the hot dog eating contest?
Absolutely.
Thank God. Okay, because
Yeah.
a lot of the House of events are like open to the public, but like
Yeah.
the one I'm dying to hit is the hot dog eating contest.
Yeah. Well, you're a
And-
former guest. Ryan Eisert's the one that kind of put that together. So.
Him and
Yes.
then the next
Yep.
hot dog eating contest, Jerry and I, as the Mental Defectives, want to take on River Talk of Sam and Ryan
Oh yeah.
in a throwdown.
That's a great idea.
And then we got to bring in Chris.
Yeah, dude.
So the three versus two is fair because
Let's do
I
it.
think that'll be
Yeah, dude. Let's
that'll
do
be
it.
legit.
Yeah.
That'll
we
be
can do
legit.
hot dogs.
Taking
we can do
down River
pies.
Talk.
We can do chicken wings, ice cream, whatever you guys want. You really want to do the hot dogs? You're set on the hot dogs?
I mean, I
He
didn't
is.
realize it was.
we can do whatever we want. The idea was hot dogs because that's just universal hot dog eating contest.
Sure.
But we talked about doing pies and ice cream or whatever.
Oh, I'll fuck up any. I'm
Oh,
down.
absolutely.
I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm
Yeah.
there.
So yeah, you guys are definitely invited to that.
Hell yeah. God, what kind of advice would you have for someone working in the treatment space, or specifically with like an outreach kind of capacity? Because we have had a lot of people on that work in treatment, but it's usually like a tech or like a house manager or something. Like we're kind of seeing like a different side of the recovery
For sure.
space with your role.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things I learned, like when I first started doing the outreach, was that I was so hyper focused on like building as many relationships as possible and showing up, and I don't think I was super organic early on. And what I've learned through my time doing like outreach and marketing is I'm like, I just treat people and become their friends, like just get to know people. That's going to bear more outcome than showing up like, hey, we do this level of care, we have this many beds open, thank you, here's your donuts, have a nice day. I did that for a long time, and I'm pretty personable, but for me it was more about the numbers when I first started. But now I'm like, I just go and have conversations with people and kind of become their friends, and they're more likely to think of House of Hope because of those interactions, because they're like, man, this is just a person that comes and hangs out and talks. Most of the time, I won't even really talk about treatment,
Yeah.
They know what we do because I've been there so many times, but I'll just stop and check in and be like, what's going on, whatever. So that's the advice that I would have, because I see a lot of these newer outreach and marketing people coming in, and, they got their swag bags, and I get it. I was the same way, and they got their dozen, donuts and coffee, and they're stopping at offices all day, dropping it off. Here's my card, here's my flyer.
It's like a big pharma rep or something.
Man, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it's kind of becoming. And there's a lot of great people doing outreach that really care, and you can tell the ones that are in it to really help.
Because I feel like it's like any other industry like that. You have like the people that are like earnestly trying to help.
Yeah.
And then there's also like the underside of it, of just like get the people in the door, the Medicaid scams, the whatever it is.
It's a business, man.
Yeah, just like anything else.
Businesses, yeah. That's how it was at the last place I worked at before House of Hope. It was, you get these numbers in, or you got to go. So it's run just like a business, and I understand that, but that didn't feel right to me.
Yeah,
it kind of took me back to like selling gym memberships. Like, you're going to sell this at whatever cost.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's just not who I am. So
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like we've got the best product in Ohio to promote. I believe that. Of course, I went through there.
100%.
And that's how we feel about it.
Give us a breakdown on like what the House of Hope offers, and like what it's like day one someone gets in the house up to the 6 month mark. Or
so we just changed a little bit. We kind of have expanded our program. It's always been a 6 month program for men, right? And 2.5 years ago, we opened a 45-day program for folks that maybe don't want to commit to a 6 month program, or have been sober and had a relapse. They go to our short-term program. But regardless of which one you go into, there's got to be a level of willingness coming in the door, because House of Hope, as I'm sure you've heard, Matt and Jerry, it's we don't think getting sober is an easy overnight thing. It takes some work and a lot of commitment, and we ask our guys coming in the door, like, are you willing to do all these things? Are you willing to go to 12-step meetings, to work a 12-step program? Our guys get up every day at the same time. They have a very structured day. It's like 30 hours of group a week, and they do a ton of fun stuff, like you guys saw on our ad. The adventure therapy. We have cooking, gardening classes, financial literacy.
Got that
Camping trips.
Yeah, camping trips,
Got that
overnight
volleyball net.
courses. Yeah,
The volley-
we have, our guys have a ton of fun, but the focus while they're there is basically changing the way that you think through rigorous action. Like I said, working a 12-step program, getting a sponsor, building up a new social support system through a 12-step program, and just at the House of Hope. And it's beautiful, though. It's like a small little family, Jerry, I think you'd agree with that. Like some of my closest friends to this day are guys I went through the House of Hope with.
Same.
We're on the complete opposite sides of the tracks, right?
Yeah.
Like, I grew up in Canal. My closest friend now, Eddie Wolf, shout out to Eddie, was from...
Hey, Mental Defectives.
Would you like to advertise on our podcast?
If so, email us at mentaldefectivespodcast@gmail.com.
So we can help you make a lot of money.
A whole lot of money.
On the west side of Columbus,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
we just couldn't be. I just have a lot of love for that dude, and we grew up completely different. But going through the House of Hope kind of brought us together. So yeah, we accept Ohio Medicaid, and you just have to have a desire to basically want to participate in your own recovery.
What would you say to somebody who's like hesitant to come into the House of Hope? Because I remember I went through a couple different treatment centers before the House of Hope
Yeah.
because I specifically did not want to go to the House of Hope.
Yeah, me too.
I was scared of it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
What would you say to that?
To someone that's hesitant?
Yeah.
When I first got into the House of Hope, you guys probably know this quote. There was a quote on the board that said, when the pain of staying the same, or when the pain of change outweighs the pain of staying the same. You guys know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah, I
about?
know what you're
think
talking about,
I'm
the
messing it
verbiage,
up.
yeah.
But like for me, it's like I talk to guys all the time, and I'm not there to like sell the program to them.
Right.
It's like if you are desperate enough and you have had enough, and you're at a point where you're willing to do whatever it takes, that's when you'll be ready to come. But I would also say House of Hope has had this stigma of being like the military of treatment center for years. You and I both talked about how scared we were to come in here and like, oh, I'm going to be confronted. It's the most welcoming, caring place that there is. You know what I mean? Like most of our staff are in recovery. Pretty much all of our counselors are in recovery, so they know what we're going through as clients when we come through the door. And I would say, man, if you just take a step out in faith and courage and just give it a shot, it might be the best decision you ever made. Whether it's at House of Hope or any treatment center, you know, just getting over that fear of taking that first step. It's scary. It's hard. You know, we know that, but yeah, if you're scared, check out our social media page. You'll see how much fun we have. Right there. So it's serious. You know, it's a lot of work on yourself. And if it was easy, everybody'd be sober, right?
Right.
But it takes some work. But man, you have so much fun, and you'll eat like a king. And
The food,
man.
Oh,
gosh, I put on like 40 pounds in it.
dude, I would go back just for the food.
Yes.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
haven't eaten that good since
Yeah,
I
I know,
left. I've been
right?
sober 8 years, and I have never ate that good. So
I remember my first day when I was in the waiting room in the very front, and it was like right at the time the guys were getting out of group.
Yeah.
So there was like 15 guys that are walking by me, and each one of them shook my hand and introduced themselves.
Where
I'm
does
like,
that
where
happen,
the
man?
fuck am I at? And I mean, these guys look scared. You know what I mean?
right. That's exactly how.
But
it
they
was
were the
with me.
nicest guys. They're like, hey, you need anything? This, that, the other. I'm like, damn, that's
Yeah, man,
fucking
it's
cool.
it's insane. I'd never witnessed that before. It was like that too. Like when I first got there, like 3 guys were offering me cigarettes. I'm like, I just left another treatment center where I'm like, you know, there was nothing like this.
Right.
You know,
Right.
no one really wanted to be there. But at House of Hope, it's like this understanding that like we're here to get help and we're going to come together and do what we have to do. So, yeah.
And I think something as like an outsider perspective, not having gone through the house, I think something that like separates it is how like you encourage the guys to integrate themselves into the recovery community.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many like you see like, you know, tepid new guys come up to you and then they pull out the little notebook and the pen. I know what time it is.
That's it,
I
man.
know what time it's like. Hey bro, can you write your phone number? And he's like, absolutely, dude.
I got a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of what kind of separates, I think, the House of Hope from other places. You know, like that is uncomfortable and that is hard to do.
Yes, it is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes,
you go
it
up,
is.
you're fresh in this treatment center, a bunch of people you don't know. Like you're gonna go ask for numbers and questions.
Right.
But that's where the growth happens. You know.
Yeah.
It's like you're gonna get uncomfortable here, but man, it can be the most beautiful gift you've ever had if you just give it a shot. So it's so funny you say that. What's your best memory in recovery?
What's your concept of a higher power? But it's so funny because like as soon as like I see some dude roll up on me, and as soon as they pull out the little notebook, I immediately like I know what's coming, and it's like a Rolodex of like I'm like, oh, they're gonna ask me this question or have
Right. You just go through your like third step, my wife and my job. It's like the first 3 questions. Like, what do you love? What's the best part of your life? You know. But
that's hilarious.
That's the uncomfortable piece of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't super appealing, but a lot of growth happens there.
So, based on your experience and, you know, all of that, what kind of advice would you give somebody new in recovery?
Somebody new in recovery.
Uh-huh.
I would say, it's very cliche, but I'd say stick around till the miracle happens. And by that, I would encourage them to give a 12-step program a shot. I think a lot of times, people are scared of like doing a 12-step program or going to treatment, but I would just, to be honest with you, like a new person in recovery, I would just sit down with them and have a simple conversation and tell them my journey and what I've been through and how it's turned out, and leave it at that, and offer them every resource I possibly could if they're ready to get help.
Yeah.
Because I've been in positions where I wasn't quite ready, and I felt like people were pushing things on me. But if it's someone that's new in recovery that's ready, I would say just trust the process and give it a shot. Like, what do you have to lose?
Right.
Look at how many people it's worked for that were extremely hopeless at the same point in their lives, and look what they're doing now. I think there's one thing they always say, like, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's more like act it till you make it. So like you look at this 12-step program, and you're looking at all this stuff that's being asked of you, or you're in treatment, and you're like, this makes zero sense. Like, I don't see how. But if you just give it a shot and fake it and do the work, your life's going to change. It might not make sense at first, but trust the process, and your life will change. There's no question about it. That's what I would say probably to a new guy. And then I'd offer him a Red Bull, and we'd talk.
That shit goes far, dude.
That's the first thing I would do. Like, let me show you I can relate. So
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Give me your Mount Rushmore basketball players.
Oh man. So I get 4.
You get 4.
Michael Jordan, of course. It's going to bring a lot of controversy, but LeBron James.
No controversy.
Thank
That's
you.
the GOAT. That's the GOAT. There are records that will never be broken.
Yeah.
He fulfilled every. I
That's
could
a
do
whole-
another.
yeah,
We could do another hour.
I was
going to
say, how much time do we have?
Yeah.
Michael's the best champion, best competitor ever. LeBron James, the best all-around player to ever play the game, I think. And then I'd have to say Shaq.
Solid. People
and then-
forget like
I
the
know,
the
man. Everybody's like,
Orlando Magic Shaq was
Yeah.
like a force of nature. The LSU Shaq was like crazy. They think like
Yeah.
the later year Shaq, but it's a different animal.
100%, dude. And then my fourth one, gosh, there's so many. I would say I always like picking a point guard too.
I was just wondering. I was like, instead of point guard.
I'd have to say, out of respect, Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Like Kobe Bryant. Just his work ethic and his mentality was just so unparalleled to me. It's the closest thing we've seen to Jordan, I think, as far as his competitiveness. Yeah. So I'd say that's my top 4.
That's solid. No AI.
Love AI, man. Love AI, but if I can only pick 4, yeah, it'd have to be.
That's
those
a
guys.
solid
tough,
4.
Yeah,
That's a solid 4.
There's multiple people you could switch in and out, but yeah. So that's my Mount Rushmore.
And then Kyle, you're a sober guy. You're very healthy. And you were telling me that there was no way you would ever
Not that
occasionally
healthy.
want to sneak a cigarette or bum one off of somebody at any point at all time.
Yes.
You would never be caught dead doing that.
Never.
Is that absolutely true? It's the Mental Defectives podcast. It's Milligram, Jerry with a G. Kyle's here. House of Hope. We'll have the description down there. Go check them out. We'll see you next time. Peace. If you or someone you know is struggling with drugs or alcohol, contact the House of Hope today.
At hofhope.org or call for a consultation.